Okay, you're live. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. This is a special called meeting of the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections and Voter Registration. The date is December 6th. The time is 4:30 p.m. The location is 2555 Lexington Road, Athens, Georgia. First item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I so move.
Okay,
Second?
all right. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is adopted. Next item on the agenda is public comment. It appears as though there are no members of the public wishing to give comment, so we will move on with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is Election Day update. Director, if you're ready, welcome to go first, or any other board member wishing to go first, please have at it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I have. As of 2 o'clock today, we had 7,793 voters. That was about an 11, almost 12% decrease from the number that we had at 2 p.m. for the general election. I don't have an accurate count right now for absentee, but as I reported earlier, we have received 84%, so I'm sure we've received more than that we actually issued of those ballots. And we're far on our way, like towards what I kind of estimated for our voter turnout. And then the 19,953 early voting voters, a difference of 10% of what we had in November. Yeah, and let's see, make sure there don't be anything else I want to mention. I think that's everything. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
I have a question.
The chair recognizes Ms. Till for her question.
Thank you. According to the rules, we want that right box. Did we have a lot of new voters since the last election?
As far as voted, I did notice that we didn't have a lot of first-time voters. You know, we always celebrate and party for the first-time voters. We didn't have a lot of that going on this time. As far as the newly registered, I don't recall the number. It wasn't much of a difference, though, was it?
I have heard there was 100 new voters on that back to the Saturday. But
Okay,
I haven't heard from them. I
Somebody,
don't know how accurate that is.
yes.
chair recognized, I was asked that someone who had read the SB 202, that the voters that voted initially for this election could vote for the runoff, but new voters were not allowed,
Mhm.
that were not registered, that did not vote in that election, could not vote in the runoff.
They
Well,
can.
Only applies to.
So,
They can or can't.
they can, because it was a federal election, or it is a federal election.
Mhm.
So what happens is if there's a federal runoff, then anybody who were registered by November the 7th, that was the deadline,
Mhm.
was added to our voter rolls. So our numbers did change.
But had that ballot contained a state race or a municipal race, then their ballot combo would only be.
Just for the federal.
So you don't have numbers for that yet?
Well,
The number of new.
I don't,
registered.
but I will get that for you.
Thank
How
you.
many voters that we had in a difference of what we had in November.
Thank you. That way I can tell this person.
Ms. Fambro?
Have anything to add? Everybody seems happy out there in the street in the
They
polling
do,
place.
don't they?
Okay, I have two things that I wanted to discuss, I guess not discuss, but mention. I understand, remember last time we had an incident at Winterville? I understand that same person voted today, but did it escalate into an incident or?
it did kind of throw our workers off.
Uh-huh.
The voter went to the ballot marking device, made a selection, printed the ballot, and was adamant that would not insert the ballot into the scanner, and waited, and then an officer appeared, of course, and the ballot was handed to the officer, and then it was laid on the table. So it's considered an unattended ballot, and it will be indicated on their records at one of their training depot.
Spoiled.
Yes, and since.
Now, does the person receive voter credit for that? Cause they checked in and they went to the VMD.
Yeah, so technically, that's a cast ballot. It's considered cast because he went through the process of it, but it's a cast canceled ballot. So he couldn't show up later and vote,
Mhm,
because he's considered already voted.
sure.
So yeah, he'll get credit for voting, but not.
Not credit for count, his ballot doesn't count.
Right.
And then the other thing is, which, I'm not sure well, we mentioned it this morning, how did you work here, but the school district took it upon themselves to hire some private security. Didn't really effectively communicate that to our staff so that we could work together with them. Lisa McGowan would further elaborate if you don't mind.
Okay, so shortly after 7 p.m., between like 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., the security officer started showing up at the different locations. So all 11 schools had them. Our poll workers didn't know why they were there, didn't know what to do. The security officers didn't seem to know why they were there and what to do and who to talk
I
to,
don't know.
what their purpose was. So that caused some confusion for everybody. Eventually, we got it worked out by talking to a person in security at CCSD. And they explained to us what had happened, that I guess there had been several threats across the state in different schools. And so the principals were concerned about a voter wandering off in sections of the school where the students are, and wanted to prevent that. So that was their solution for that, but no one communicated that to us, that it was happening. Also, but part of that protocol after these different threats was to keep their outside doors locked. And that also caused some confusion because at 7 a.m. At a couple of the schools, well, at one school in particular, they told the voters that they couldn't be inside the building before 7 a.m.
Oh, God.
And the voters that were inside a covered hallway leading to the gymnasium where voting takes place were, in the voters' estimations, someone who came to the office to talk to us rudely pushed back outside and told to wait outside after 7 and locked out until after 7 and locked outside. Another school kind of went back and forth with the poll manager all day about whether we should have someone stationed at the door where the voters would come in, asking asking the people, are you here to vote? What are you here to do? That kind of thing. And
This harassment.
well, so it was a lot of confusion.
Yeah, so,
They were trying to protect the kids, but they didn't communicate with us so that the poll workers could effectively handle
Deal with
that
that.
situation.
I would say that it was good on the school district to do that.
Right.
Like, that's a fine thing to do to protect the kids, but
Mhm.
some better cooperation with our staff and coordination would have made this good intention come out with a good outcome.
Yeah.
So what I'm proposing, and I think we should discuss this at a regular meeting, is perhaps the board writing a letter to the school board and the superintendent, just saying, we had some challenges on election day. We're hoping that your staff and our staff can work together, not to like inflate our importance, but, top to top. We'll write a little letter and then everyone can, so, we can talk about it at another meeting, but it's kind of what I was thinking, yeah.
I think it would be good to start it off with thank you for.
Yeah, right, yeah, but we'll draft the
Yeah.
letter and we can,
Absolutely.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good, because obviously it's a good thing.
I think
As
it's,
my child is a student at the very school she's talking about. So, you know,
I think it was something that was festering over from the parade. Because
Mhm.
school kids were pulled from the
Right.
parade because of threats.
yeah,
There are no school children, none of the, schools that were gonna participate in the parade. They didn't participate, so.
right.
It was kind of a.
So I don't know if we have room on the December 13 agenda, but we can probably push that to January.
Okay.
We can put it on and then move to table it if we want.
Put it on the draft.
Yeah, and then the other question I have is for the director. When will we have like a provisional ballot cure list? For folks that wanna chase those down or cure
I'm thinking tomorrow.
tomorrow? Would folks just call into the office or email, or how would they get the cure list? 'Cause I'm not familiar with the usual process. Or does it need to be an open record?
Well, if it's
Request.
open record, we won't answer it until
Uh-huh.
later.
Could you give it to us and,
Wouldn't they have to go through some official channels to get that information?
I would say that, but like I said, we may not get to that request until 3
okay,
days.
but you'll have the list together of the cure list, right?
Yeah,
Tomorrow. It's like,
we
Not for
could,
Not for public view.
right, yeah,
We'll have it ready for maybe us, but not for public view.
yeah. It's possible that we could have it,
we could,
depending on, yeah,
okay, so the deadline for curing is
Friday
Friday.
at 5 p.m. Yeah. 'cause it's
So the
holiday.
public, if they wanted it, would need to do an open record request now? Just in anticipation, or what would the
Yeah.
timeline be?
And that we could get it to them by Friday. Which, yeah,
Friday, if the,
so if we get the
That-
request, if the request is is done today, tomorrow counts as day one. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
but how would they cure? Okay,
That's the point I'm making,
Right.
that still may not give them time to
Right.
contact somebody to cure.
so what did we
Okay.
do in the past? Because I know that organizations have gotten this data somehow, like, 2020, there was a website.
So it's probably still there, because we have to enter it in ENAT, that it's
So does the data come from the secretary's office
comes from
then?
Secretary of State's office, doesn't come from us.
But we'll have our, so I guess the more simple question is, our data will be updated by tomorrow?
That's
we don't have
our
like a-
goal. That's our goal.
Uh-huh,
That's always our goal, is to update within 24 hours, but that's the way it
okay.
will be, yeah.
Okay.
But it'll be, yeah, and that's probably how they're getting it before then, but we really don't get a chance to do open records. If it's not sensitive, like this is the third day of the open records course, we don't put it on our priority list. Everything else
Okay.
is, like provisionals and
Mhm.
Alrighty.
so.
Any further updates or questions, comments?
No, but I'm gonna have you some numbers here in a minute.
I think it will be here in 7 minutes, so you can stall with your numbers if you wish. Tell us something. Ask a good question. I know you got something cooking up there.
I'm trying, I feel like I have asked many questions this election cycle. I'm trying my best to.
Okay.
Now, if I had seen something around town today, or heard something, I would definitely bring it up, but my questions are like, big picture for next time. How could we make this easier next time for this, that, and the other? But that's,
Yeah, and so many of those things have gone through my head too,
right,
so.
right? And I wish there were a way to capture that, right? But we're all exhausted. But then you wait till next month and it's like, well, what was that thing you
Yeah.
were talking about?
Write it
Yeah.
on that green tag, put it in your
Yeah.
pocket.
Because I want us to be proactive,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
rather than reactive when things happen. And unfortunately, this morning, I came up with an idea,
Oh, unfortunately.
something that I was like, oh, why didn't I think of that then? But yeah, so lessons learned, we usually get together and we talk about that, with the staff. We just didn't get a chance to do it after the general election. I don't even think we really got to do it after the primary. We just been going since. So it's gonna be interesting to see how we can accomplish what we need to accomplish between now and the 2024 elections. It is my hope that by then we will all be under the same roof, because that will definitely help.
Mhm.
Prime example, we have staff at the office right now who are answering phones, where we also have staff over here that are doing certain things, but they could do that and answer phones at the same time,
Same time.
you know, because all of it's important,
Mhm.
right? So, I think we'll have a better operation. I call it the perfect operation, but I feel we'll have a better operation by then, hopefully, fingers crossed.
I caught up, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just about to say, cause we got admonished, cause the board ain't working hard enough to find y'all a new place.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Don't you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
One of the people got up and
Mhm.
spoke about
That's true.
that.
Well,
That's true.
you know what Charlotte, I served on the T-Splosh board and I've served on Splosh.
Mhm.
So have you put together a Splosh new building project, presentation, whatever, help me out, you know what I'm saying?
Right, mhm, yeah, proposal.
I haven't, because there isn't one coming up again in probably 8 years.
Mhm. All the
Um,
money spent.
but I wanted to really like kick Charlotte's behind,
Mm.
because she didn't ask for it in the SPOS, because I was expecting it to be a part of the new project that's gonna be going up for the new administration
Oh,
building.
but
Yeah.
that whole thing is, yeah.
But I'm reminded how much better it will still be if we're not in the administration building and separate from everybody else.
Mm.
I feel we'll be more effective as a department if we're separated from everybody else. And we won't interfere with what the other departments have that's going on, that's gonna be their priority or their season, so to speak.
Right, right.
Because there's so many things that we do that it just makes us a unique animal
Very
compared to
unique,
the rest of the county.
very
Oh,
unique
yeah.
on everything. I mean, to the simplest thing.
You know, like basically all of them were like 9 to 5 or 8 to 5.
Yeah.
That's
Working
not
from
like here.
home,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
and some were able to work from home during COVID. We had not, I had 2 days at home, 2. And a lot of my staff didn't have a week, you know, so, it's different. We're a different part of the government, but we're a
Whatever,
very
this is floral.
essential part of the government.
That's
And we a very,
Comes in,
um,
ask for.
stable,
Okay.
I'm gonna say platform for
Chair
the
will entertain a
government.
motion to adjourn.
You hear me?
Direction.
You are.
Did you want to give that update and then do you have numbers or?
I got caught up, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Kadir, did you have anything you wanted to add? Comments, questions, concerns, updates?
Nothing we don't already know, because I'm sure you mentioned about the trip to Gaines School Road today, Gaines School.
Did not, but I can.
With the policeman?
Well, the meeting wasn't in session, so I can say it
Yeah,
again.
so, go ahead.
So, well, Charlotte and Pam called me and Hank, we were in the same car. That there was a concern at Gaines School Elementary, a voter had gone to Hillsman Middle School and attempted to vote there. There was a school resource officer parked out front, and the voter spoke to the officer, and the officer said, well, you can't vote here. Period. End of conversation. And so the voter then called the office and said that there was, you know, security officer, something, I forget what the words were, telling people they can't vote. So Hank and I went over there and walked around and went to the middle school, secretary reception area and got to the bottom of it, so. And then, of course, we took 3 ballots to the hospital and those people were able to cast their ballot, so that's good.
I do have one concern about 2024, which hopefully won't come about, but there's a lot of aging population, as I realize, and of course, I'm part of it when I was at the ICU, and I think there's going to be fewer more than just 3 ballots. So this year we had 5 altogether, 2 at St. Mary's and 3 at Piedmont during this election cycle. But in 2024, I think we may have a lot more, so we'll have to possibly look into resources. What if we have 40 or 50?
So
Either
we were
we'll have
thinking
to-
maybe poll workers that were like runners
Yeah,
could do that instead of us, or if there's but also remember that the hospital serves 17 other counties, so
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
unless the other 16 boards of elections need to
Yeah,
do that, then, yeah.
yeah, that's true.
I also wanted to mention, it just came to me that I felt like I needed to mention this. I've been communicating with the voter, back and forth, the discussion about the individuals who are at some of our polling locations and maybe making an approach of now that you voted, go and tell 3 friends to vote. So the question was, is that considered campaigning? And so campaigning versus exit poll. So because they're not using any um, individual or party or referendum specifically or exclusively, then that we should treat it like an exit poll. So that
Mhm.
means that the person can be within 25 feet from the edge of the building. And if the line is outside of the building, they can stand 25 feet from the last person standing in line.
Hmm.
So I wanted to make that known.
Yeah, I did see some of them today.
They're not, it's clear they're not even winking about a candidate. They're nonpartisan, non,
From what we viewed.
From what we can
And
tell.
then,
I observed it and I can
yeah.
concur with that as well.
Really?
They aren't,
Okay.
Saturday, they were
It's a
out
fine
Saturday.
line though, right? It's a fine line, but.
Yeah.
They were at
They-
Miriam Moore when I
Asking
voted.
people to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, and then regarding our voters, we increased our voters by 258.
Okay.
So we had our active numbers to go from, which one? It's in this paper. Our active numbers went from 68,239 to 69,702. I mean, 69,372. Now, that increased our active number to 1,133. But when we look at our total voters, we went from 82,711 to 82,458, difference of 258 voters. Total. But, we go by our active numbers.
Mhm. Right. The next item on the agenda, yes.
Thinking about this canvassing that we were just talking about. I would like to suggest that I don't have that formula thought through in my mind, but I think it would be a good idea from the beginning to have a standardized text, a sign, something, so everybody says the same thing and there's no confusion about, are you trying to get me to vote for a particular person, or are you representing? That way it would be clear cut that I'm just asking you to vote.
Mm.
And I think having a standard
Well, those people were not,
motto,
they purposely did not make eye contact with, I knew who the people were when I walked in. But they purposely were not making eye contact with people going in. It's when I came out, when they started like smiling and making eye contact at me to
Hmm.
engage, so.
Yeah, and basically what they were asking you to do was, could you contact
Free.
3 people, cousin, friend, whoever, and ask them to vote today?
we'll just have a standard text
Yeah.
for them to repeat, so everybody gets the same thing, and you can't say, well, she told me I should vote for BB, and, there's no confusion. We're just asking you to contact 3 people to vote, just a standard formula.
Yeah, we could probably make that recommendation to, the groups that are putting the people out there to do that. But they're not a part of our,
Where you wouldn't get a lot of phone calls that way saying, well,
they're just reading.
Somebody
the
said this
script.
to me and
Mhm.
But I'm not sure, how could we make another group say certain words that we want?
we would encourage them to
Yeah.
cut down on any kind of conflicts, phone calls, that, you know, the intentions are good and we just want people to vote. And this is what everybody is saying, so we all are on the same page.
I would even go as far as say, don't even say anything, just hold up a sign and it
There
just
you go.
says
There you
vote. Or tell a
Mm.
friend, or, you know, something like that, instead of,
Tell 3 friends to vote.
Yeah.
It's just,
Ms. Fambro?
Did we get any complaints from Saturday?
About those people?
Mhm.
No, not that I know of. Mm-mm.
I don't recall.
so far, we're good, but the further things go down the road,
Yeah.
stuff starts to happen. And then your office will be overwhelmed
Yeah.
with phone calls.
It's usually after the election when we get a lot of calls, and it's because their person didn't win. They won't say anything. You
But
see
they
what I'm
have
saying?
that kind of,
Now they're thinking about, oh, what is
this
going
might
on?
have happened.
Yeah, I noticed that.
All right.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda are announcements. There are 2 announcements. Special called meeting will be happening on Monday, December 12th at 6 PM at this location. That meeting we will be certifying the election at that meeting. The next meeting will be the following day, which is our regular monthly meeting, December 13 at 4:30 PM, and that'll be at the Planning Department Auditorium on Doherty Street. The next item on the agenda is to adjourn. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn,
I so move.
okay?
a second.
Still, she won the lotto on that one. All those in favor, say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.